Remote work is here to stay, so let's optimize against it. I will tell you exactly the pros and cons of this setup and how to operate best in the, remote type of work as a product manager. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Dr. Bart and I'll be your product management teacher. Today, let's look at the topic that's pretty close to our hearts nowadays, and that's remote work. Being a product manager that's not there on the premise in the office and is not there physically with the team and managing the product. How to best deal with it? Before we get to that, let's look at the setup in detail. Let's start by saying that working remotely is not all that different from classic work in the office, which probably most of you have already discovered, and it's all the same work with different features, really, different aspects that you need to cater for and adjust the way you work to adapt to the new or upcoming setting. Remote or not, you still need to be the best product manager there is, finding the best value for your product. So, what are the good sides, the benefits from working remotely? Well, first of all, there is no unwanted distractions if you can set up the home office correctly. There won't be people coming around, there won't be people talking under your ear. You'll be in full control of what you were working on and what you focus on. So that gives you a lot of control over your time, over your focus, and deciding what are your energy levels so you can dedicate yourself and your focus to the right tasks at the right time, which is awesome. That will most likely mean that you will be able to work more efficiently, that you will take less time to complete tasks, complete your task documents, complete communication, emails, ideas, research, everything that you need to do normally on your own will be quicker to complete. That also means that you can manage your energy level by taking breaks whenever you need to, for whatever you need to. That can be even like a small portion of exercise during the day, or even going to the gym outside, or having a 20-40 minute regimen of exercises during the day. And it also means that you can eat what you want to eat in terms of keeping more healthy, eating less processed food because you have time to cook. As you can manage your time, you can always spend a little less time working during the day and then catch up in the evening if needed, right? And with the remote work, it's really all about completing the work, completing what you need to do by certain time and what you plan during the day. No one will check if you did 8, 6, 3, 12, 18 hours of work. As long as everything is ready when it needs to be for a specific meeting, for a specific project, then no one will care. Unless you're working for some crazy company that does care and does monitor you, then run. Just find someone that appreciates your output, not the hours committed. Now, the downsides for remote work is obviously the lack of personal contact. You will lose a lot by only connecting remotely, and it will make the communication harder. It will make getting people to agree on something more difficult. And also, the fact that no one bothers you is a double-edged sword, because it's harder for you to bother other people if you need a quick answer to your question. And just calling someone or leaving a message on a communicator might not be enough, and you have to grow more patience as a remote product manager. Also, if played incorrectly, you may find that it's hard to tell the private time from the work time, and you can feel like you're working 12, 14 hours a day just because you mix in some video games and watching YouTube with the actual work that needs completing. So that might not be the best. And especially it will be hard for those of you who are extroverts, who need contact with people, who need to bounce off another human being in order to get their energy. I'm not like that, and it was never a problem for me, but I do see how some people will get progressively crazy because of that. But there are ways to mitigate that, fortunately. Finally, things that would be easier in the office with like sticky notes and pen and paper will require specific tools to instigate in the remote environment, like brainstorming or meetings where you refine tasks and backlog. That will be a tad more difficult, but still manageable. So, like, the bottom line is that whatever you need to do alone is way easier in the remote environment, and whatever you need to do collaboratively with other people becomes just a little bit harder and sometimes more hard. So, what to do? How to best adapt to this setting? First of all, dedicate an area at your house or home to work explicitly, whether it's a dedicated room or a corner. Just have like this force field around it that is your workspace, and you work there and you do nothing else. You don't eat your dinner there, you don't play your video games there, you don't read books there, none of that. Of course, it might not always be possible, but you can always do it a bit virtually, where you have your computer for regular stuff and the work computer only for the work stuff. And when you finish your work, you just close the work laptop and move on to your private matters on a machine that has nothing to do with your work, and it shouldn't even install any communicators that would make work communication possible. Also, make sure that you will book time in your calendar for like regular stuff. So you have time to cook, you have time to eat, and no one will put you a meeting during that time. So it's not like someone can walk to your desk and see that you're not there because you went out. Instead, just make sure that people know you're out and you can do whatever you planned in order to, well, be effective throughout the day. You won't be working well if you're constantly hungry. Since you will need additional tools to instigate, for example, online brainstorming, try them out beforehand. Don't test them with the team. Have something that will work reliably. For example, for brainstorming, I always like to use Miro.com tools, their whiteboard, and a range of different options they have in order for you to reach your goals with the team. Speaking of which, the fact that you don't have a community kitchen or area to relax together and get to know one another doesn't mean that in the remote setting there's no space for that. In fact, you have to be very proactive in making this happen, because this is also part of the work culture and becoming a team together. So don't be afraid to put on some board game meeting once a week, once every sprint, to, well, socialize together. Maybe start the daily meeting with additional 20 minutes of coffee and just talking about whatever. It doesn't have to be work. Just try to capture what we, the human beings, have to do in order to, well, be truthful to our tribal nature. We do make connections, and those connections matter. So don't forget about connecting to people at your work. Finally, try to visit the office once in a while. At rarest, once every quarter, maybe 6 months. It all depends how far it is for you to visit the office. If you need to fly in from another country, then every 6 to 12 months would be okay. But don't forget that. Don't go more than 98% remote. Obviously, some of you will be in a hybrid mode where you'll spend 3 or 4 days at home and 3 to 2 at the office, which might actually be the optimal setting. So you do the thing that you need to do alone at home, and then you go to the office to carry on with the collaborative stuff. But also, it does have this downside that unless the hybrid setting is done in a way that everyone comes to the office on certain days, then it really beats the purpose if there's only a handful of people you need there, right? So just make sure that people know that you're coming to the office, and you make appointments with people you'd like to meet face to face. Perhaps a new colleague joined the team. It would be great to meet in person and go out for lunch. Who knows? Anywho, those were very down-to-earth, very practical advices that are sometimes on a sideline on the position. And if you'd like to know more of such good practices, along with the high-level good practices for being a great product manager, I strongly suggest you try out my Udemy and Skillshare courses. Links are now on the screen. And for more great content, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.